The Galactic Assembly Chamber had witnessed the rise and fall of thousands of civilizations. Ancient empires had been born there. Powerful species had signed peace treaties there. Entire star systems had changed ownership with a single vote. But never in its history had anyone seen a species react the way humans did. The chamber buzzed with anticipation as representatives from over 300 worlds filled their seats. At the center platform stood High Commander Verex of the Dominion Fleet. His armored scales reflected the chamber lights as he activated the holographic display. A blue sphere appeared above the platform. The newest member of the galactic community. And, according to many, the weakest. Humans had only discovered faster-than-light travel 40 years earlier. Their territory consisted of just 12 colonized systems. Their military was tiny compared to the ancient powers surrounding them. Most species considered humanity insignificant. Easy to control. Easy to intimidate. Easy to conquer. Commander Verex smiled. The time has come. The hologram shifted. Thousands of Dominion warships appeared around human space. Gasps spread through the audience. Even experienced diplomats looked uncomfortable. The fleet was enormous. More than 70,000 combat vessels. Enough firepower to erase entire civilizations. Verex spread his arms dramatically. The Dominion offers humanity one final opportunity. The chamber fell silent. Surrender all military assets. Surrender all strategic resources. Surrender administrative authority to the Dominion. He paused. Or face complete annihilation. A few representatives nodded approvingly. Others looked away. Everyone knew the outcome. No species could resist a fleet that size. Especially not humans. A junior diplomat from the Orion Collective whispered to her superior. How long before they surrender? The older official shrugged. Hours. Maybe minutes. The transmission was sent immediately. Every human colony received the message. Every government official heard the ultimatum. Every citizen watched the same terrifying image. 70,000 warships waiting at their borders. Across the galaxy, species prepared for humanity's collapse. Markets predicted the end of human independence. News networks began discussing how Dominion rule would reshape human territory. Military analysts debated which human worlds would be occupied first. The outcome seemed obvious. There was only one problem. Nobody truly understood humans. 3 hours later, the Dominion received Earth's response. The message arrived in the assembly chamber. Commander Verex smiled confidently. He expected surrender documents. Perhaps a desperate plea for mercy. Instead, the screen displayed a single human officer. An older woman wearing a dark naval uniform. Her expression was calm. Almost amused. "Greetings," she said. "I am Admiral Sarah Mitchell of the United Earth Defense Command." Verex leaned forward. "Do you accept Dominion authority?" The human admiral glanced at something off-screen. Then she looked directly into the camera. "No." The chamber erupted with shocked whispers. Verex's smile vanished. "No." Admiral Mitchell nodded. "Correct. You are refusing surrender?" "Yes." Verex laughed. A harsh, predatory sound. "You understand the consequences?" The human admiral smiled. That smile made several experienced diplomats uncomfortable. Because it wasn't the smile of someone facing defeat. It was the smile of someone who knew something others didn't. "Commander," she said quietly, "you believe this fleet guarantees victory?" "Of course it does." The admiral tilted her head. "Then why did you stop at 70,000 ships?" Silence filled the chamber. Verex frowned. "What?" "If you were certain," she continued, "why not send 100,000? The room grew strangely quiet. Even the spectators seemed confused. Verex felt irritation rising. Because 70,000 is more than sufficient. The human smiled wider. "That's what we hoped you'd think." Before Verex could respond, the transmission ended. The chamber exploded into conversation. "What does that mean? Are they bluffing? Do humans have allies?" "No intelligence reports suggest that." Commander Verex dismissed the concerns. Humanity was cornered. Outnumbered. hopelessly outgunned. There was no mystery here. No hidden weapon. No secret fleet. Just a frightened young civilization making one final act of defiance. Or so everyone believed. Because at that very moment, deep inside the Sol system, hidden beyond the orbit of Pluto, an ancient docking facility was opening for the first time in nearly 2 centuries. Massive blast doors slowly separated. Warning lights illuminated the darkness. Automated systems awakened. And in the center of the forgotten shipyard sat a vessel unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. A single human warship. The last ship humanity had sworn never to use again. And now, for the first time in generations, it was preparing to leave its dock. Deep beyond Pluto, where sunlight was little more than a distant glow, the ancient shipyard awakened. Massive reactors that had remained dormant for nearly 200 years slowly came online. Entire sections of the facility shook as power surged through forgotten systems. Automated drones emerged from hidden maintenance chambers. Ancient repair arms unfolded. Warning beacons flashed across kilometers of metal corridors. Something was waking up. Something humanity had spent generations trying to forget. Inside the command center, Admiral Sarah Mitchell stood silently before a giant observation window. Beyond the glass rested a ship so large it seemed impossible. Even compared to modern battleships, it looked monstrous. Its hull stretched for nearly 30 kilometers. Layer upon layer of armor covered its surface. Thousands of weapon ports lined its sides. Scars from ancient battles remained visible despite centuries of repairs. The name engraved across the hull was simple. UE's Titan. The officers around Mitchell remained quiet. Every human knew the stories. Every human child learned about the Titan in school. Not because it was a symbol of victory. Because it was a warning. 2 centuries earlier humanity had nearly destroyed itself. Before joining the galactic community. Before becoming explorers. Before becoming diplomats. Earth had endured the resource wars. The worst conflict in human history. Entire nations vanished. Colonies burned. Billions died. And when conventional warfare failed, humanity created something terrifying. The Titan. A warship designed with only one purpose. To end wars by making resistance impossible. It carried enough firepower to shatter moons. Enough armor to survive planetary bombardment. Enough energy production to power entire colonies. When the war finally ended, humanity looked at what it had built and became frightened. The Titan wasn't merely a ship. It was proof of how dangerous humans could become. So they buried it, locked it away, and promised never to use it again. For almost 200 years, they kept that promise. Until now. A young officer stared at the giant vessel. Do you think it will be enough? Mitchell didn't answer immediately. Her eyes remained fixed on the ancient warship. We're not trying to destroy the Dominion. The officer looked confused. Then what's the objective? Mitchell smiled slightly. Education. Meanwhile, far beyond human space, Commander Verex was preparing his invasion. The Dominion fleet advanced confidently toward the human border. 70,000 warships moved in perfect formation. Sensor operators reported no unusual activity. No hidden fleets. No allied reinforcements. Nothing capable of threatening Dominion supremacy. Everything appeared exactly as expected, which only increased Verex's confidence. They're bluffing, he told his officers. Their government is trying to delay surrender. Several commanders agreed. After all, human military records were public. The numbers were clear. Humanity possessed fewer than 6,000 combat-capable vessels. Most were patrol ships. None were considered serious threats. Victory was inevitable. Then a sensor alarm sounded. The bridge immediately became silent. An officer turned toward Verex. Commander! What is it? The officer swallowed nervously. We've detected an unidentified vessel. Verex frowned. One vessel? Yes, sir. The commander laughed. One ship. After all that defiance. After all those mysterious warnings. Humanity had sent a single ship. The bridge crew relaxed. Several officers even chuckled. Surely this was some symbolic gesture. Perhaps humanity wanted to negotiate. Maybe they hoped to save face before surrendering. Varex stood from his command chair. Open visual feed. The main display activated. At first nothing appeared. Only darkness. Then the image zoomed out. And the laughter stopped. Every officer froze. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The vessel was so large the cameras initially couldn't fit it into frame. The system zoomed out again. And again. And again. Only then did the entire ship become visible. A silence filled the bridge. One officer whispered, "That's impossible. The readings couldn't be correct. No known species built warships that size. No civilization could justify such a design. It violated every accepted military doctrine." Yet there it was. A single colossal vessel drifting toward the largest fleet in galactic history. Unhurried, unafraid, almost calm. The sensors continued scanning. More information appeared. Armor density exceeded known limits. Energy signatures were unlike anything in Dominion databases. Power output readings kept climbing, and climbing, and climbing, until several sensor systems automatically reported malfunction errors. Because they literally could not measure the ship's true output. For the first time in many years, Commander Varex felt uncertainty. Identify the vessel. The computer searched available records. After several seconds, a result appeared. Designation, Titan. Classification, unknown. Threat assessment, unable to calculate. The bridge fell completely silent. Then another message arrived. A direct transmission from the approaching human ship. Varex hesitated. Something deep inside him suddenly warned that opening the channel was a mistake. But pride won. Display it. The screen changed. A human captain appeared. Gray-haired. Completely relaxed. As though facing 70,000 warships was nothing unusual. The captain looked directly into the camera. Then spoke 7 words that instantly sent a chill through the bridge. Humanity declines your surrender demand. Behind him, the Titan's reactors began glowing brighter. Much brighter. And across the Dominion fleet, thousands of alarms suddenly activated at the exact same moment. Alarms screamed across the Dominion fleet. Red warning symbols flooded command displays. Sensor officers stared at their screens in disbelief. Nothing made sense. The human ship had not fired. It had not launched fighters. It had not activated any visible weapons. Yet every vessel in the fleet was reporting the same problem. Massive energy fluctuations. Commander Varex rose from his chair. Report. A sensor technician's hands shook as he examined the readings. Sir, the Titan is generating an energy field. What kind of field? We don't know. The answer sent an uncomfortable silence through the bridge. The Dominion possessed some of the finest scientists in the galaxy. Their databases contained thousands of years of military knowledge. There should have been an explanation. There wasn't. The readings simply didn't match anything they had ever encountered. Another officer looked up from his console. The field radius is expanding. How far? The officer swallowed. Approximately 3 million kilometers. Several commanders exchanged nervous looks. That distance was absurd. No military technology operated on such a scale. Even planetary defense networks couldn't project power that far. Yet the human ship was doing exactly that. And it was only getting stronger. Far away, aboard the Titan, Captain Elias Ward calmly watched the tactical display. Around him, human officers worked efficiently. No panic. No fear. No excitement. Just quiet professionalism. A young lieutenant glanced at the sensor feed. The Dominion fleet appears confused. Ward nodded. They should be. Permission to ask a question, sir? Granted. The lieutenant hesitated. If the Titan is truly as powerful as the records suggest, why don't we simply destroy their fleet? Several officers looked toward the captain. It was a fair question. The Titan could probably do it. Ward folded his hands behind his back. Because destruction is easy. The bridge remained silent. Our goal is to prevent a war. The lieutenant frowned. By threatening them? No. Ward smiled slightly. By teaching them why war would be a terrible idea. At that exact moment, the Titan completed its calculations. Deep inside the ship, ancient systems that had not been used in centuries activated. Massive energy conduits lit up. Reactor output climbed higher. Then higher. Then higher still. Across the Dominion fleet, emergency warnings intensified. One terrified sensor operator suddenly stood. "Commander!" Verex turned sharply. "What now?" The officer pointed at the display. "The human vessel is targeting something." The main screen zoomed outward. Far beyond both fleets floated a lifeless moon. A barren rock nearly 400 kilometers wide. No population. No military installations. Nothing important. Verex frowned. "Why are they targeting a moon?" Nobody answered. Because nobody knew. Then the human transmission channel activated. Captain Ward appeared on screen. He looked completely calm. "Commander Verex. What are you doing?" Ward ignored the question. 200 years ago, humanity built weapons we hoped would never be needed again. Verex remained silent. "We learned something during our darkest wars." The human captain's voice grew colder. "Peace is valuable." The bridge became eerily quiet. But peace only survives when aggression has consequences. Then Ward looked directly into the camera. "Observe." The transmission ended. A second later, something happened. Not an explosion. Not a missile launch. Not a beam weapon. Instead, a pulse emerged from the Titan. A single wave of energy. Silent. Invisible. Traveling across space at impossible speed. It reached the distant moon. For one brief moment, nothing happened. Then the moon disappeared. Not shattered. Not broken apart. Gone. Completely gone. The place where it had existed was suddenly empty. The Dominion bridge froze. No one moved. No one spoke. Every sensor system confirmed the same result. The moon no longer existed. There were no fragments. No debris field. No detectable remains. It had simply ceased to be. One officer dropped his data pad. The sound echoed through the silent bridge. Another commander whispered, "That's impossible." The words spread through the room. Impossible. 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 Yet their sensors showed only empty space. Commander Verex felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. Fear. Real fear. Because that moon had not been a target. It had been a message. And everyone aboard the fleet understood it. If the Titan could erase a moon, what could it do to warships? Back in the Galactic Assembly Chamber, news of the demonstration arrived within minutes. Representatives from hundreds of civilizations watched the footage. Many assumed it was fake. Until independent sensor logs confirmed everything. The recordings were authentic. The impossible had happened. Across the galaxy, panic spread. Military analysts scrambled to update threat assessments. Governments activated emergency councils. Intelligence agencies searched desperately for information about humanity's hidden technology. But the answers didn't exist. Because humanity had intentionally buried them centuries ago. The Titan had been forgotten. Even by most humans. And now it had returned. Commander Verex stared at the empty region of space where the moon had once been. His confidence was gone. His certainty was gone. For the first time since the campaign began, he realized a terrifying possibility. Perhaps humanity had never been afraid of the Dominion. Perhaps humanity had been afraid of itself. And if that was true, then the galaxy might have made the worst mistake in its entire history. Just then another transmission arrived from the Titan. A new message. A final message. One that would force Commander Verex to make the most important decision of his life. The bridge of the Dominion flagship was silent. Not the disciplined silence of trained soldiers. Not the calm silence before battle. This was something different. It was the silence of thousands of people realizing that everything they believed about power might be wrong. Commander Verex stared at the empty region of space where the moon had existed only minutes earlier. His hands tightened around the armrests of his command chair. For decades he had commanded fleets. For decades he had forced weaker civilizations to obey. His enemies always surrendered eventually. They always understood the same simple truth. The Dominion was stronger. But now that truth had shattered. Just like the moon. An officer approached cautiously. "Commander, the human transmission is waiting." Verex hesitated. For the first time in his military career, he was afraid to answer a communication request. Finally, he nodded. "Open the channel." The screen activated. Captain Elias Ward appeared once more. His expression remained calm. No arrogance. No threats. No celebration. Which somehow made him even more intimidating. Verex spoke first. "What exactly is that ship?" Ward remained silent for several seconds. Then he answered. "A mistake." The response confused everyone on the bridge. "A mistake?" Verex repeated. Ward nodded. 2 centuries ago humanity became obsessed with winning wars. His voice carried a weight that felt almost personal. "We believed that if we built a weapon powerful enough, nobody would ever challenge us." The human captain glanced toward the massive interior of the Titan. "We succeeded." The bridge remained silent. But then we realized something. Ward's eyes hardened. The greatest threat wasn't our enemies. It was what we were becoming. Across the Dominion flagship, nobody interrupted. Even the youngest officers listened carefully. Because this didn't sound like a military commander boasting. It sounded like a survivor remembering something terrible. "We locked the Titan away," Ward continued. "We dismantled its production facilities. We erased the designs. We buried the research." Verex frowned. "Why?" The human captain gave a simple answer. "Because nobody should possess this much power." The words echoed through the bridge. For a moment nobody spoke. Then Verex asked the question on everyone's mind. "If that's true." His voice became quieter. "Why bring it back?" Ward looked directly into the camera. "Because you left us no choice." Silence followed. The statement wasn't angry. It wasn't emotional. It was simply factual. And that made it far more powerful. Suddenly another officer interrupted. "Commander." Verex turned. The officer's face had gone pale. "New sensor contacts." "How many?" The officer swallowed. "Thousands." The bridge instantly became active. Displays updated. Data streams flooded the tactical network. Then everyone froze. More human ships were appearing. Hundreds. Then thousands. Then tens of thousands. Not warships. Shipyards. Factories. Industrial platforms. Automated construction systems. Ancient infrastructure hidden across human space. Long-dormant facilities awakening for the first time in centuries. Verex stared at the numbers. The realization hit him like a physical blow. The Titan wasn't humanity's true strength. It was merely proof of what humanity could build. And if the old manufacturing network still existed, then humanity could potentially create more. Far more. The implications were horrifying. One Titan was enough to terrify the galaxy. An entire fleet would make resistance impossible. A junior officer whispered the thought everyone feared. What if they start building them again? Nobody answered. Because nobody wanted to hear the answer. Back aboard the Titan, Captain Ward watched the same sensor data. The ancient factories were online. The galaxy could see them. That was intentional. Not as a threat. As a warning. Humanity wanted everyone to understand the truth. They had chosen restraint. Not weakness. There was a difference. A very important difference. The Dominion Bridge received another transmission. This time it came directly from Earth. Admiral Sarah Mitchell appeared on screen. Behind her stood representatives from every major human colony. United. Unafraid. Mitchell folded her hands. "Commander Verex." He said nothing. The Titan demonstrated what humanity can do. The Admiral paused. "What happens next depends entirely on you." Verex stared at her. "You are threatening us." Mitchell shook her head. "No." Her voice remained steady. "We are giving you a choice." The tactical displays continued showing 70,000 Dominion warships. And one human ship. Yet somehow everyone knew which side truly controlled the situation. Mitchell continued. You can proceed with your invasion. You can test your fleet against the Titan. You can gamble the future of your empire. The bridge remained completely silent. Then she offered the alternative. Or you can leave. No demands. No reparations. No humiliation. Just leave. The simplicity of the offer shocked everyone. Varex looked at the human leaders. You would let us retreat? Mitchell nodded. Peace is worth more than revenge. For a long moment nobody spoke. Across the galaxy, billions watched the exchange live. Entire civilizations waited for the answer. Would the Dominion attack? Would the greatest battle in galactic history begin? Or would pride finally give way to reason? Commander Varex looked one last time at the empty region where the moon had existed. Then he looked at the Titan. The ancient human warship floated motionless. Patient. Silent. Waiting. And deep inside, Varex finally understood something that most of the galaxy had never realized. Humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the Titan. It was the fact that humans had the power to dominate everyone. And chose not to. Slowly, he rose from his command chair. Every eye on the bridge turned toward him. Waiting. Knowing that whatever he said next would change history forever. The bridge of the Dominion flagship was completely silent. Thousands of officers watched Commander Varex. Across the galaxy, billions more waited for his answer. The future of entire civilizations balanced on a single decision. Or retreat. For most of his life, Varex would have chosen war. That was how the Dominion had built its empire. Strength was respected. Weakness was exploited. Fear was a tool. But now, standing before a power unlike anything he had ever imagined, he finally understood a truth he had ignored for decades. There was always someone stronger. Slowly, he straightened his uniform. Then he faced the communication screen. Admiral Mitchell and Captain Ward watched quietly. Waiting. Varex took a deep breath. The Dominion fleet. He paused. The entire galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Will withdraw. For a moment nobody reacted. The words felt impossible. Then the bridge erupted with activity. Orders spread through the fleet. Navigation systems updated. Formation commands changed. One by one, 70,000 warships altered course. The invasion was over. The greatest military operation in Dominion history had ended without a single battle. Across human space, celebrations immediately began. Crowds filled city streets. Colonists cheered from distant worlds. Families gathered around screens, watching the Dominion fleet turn away. But aboard the Titan, there was no celebration. Captain Ward simply nodded. The outcome was exactly what humanity had hoped for. No war. No casualties. No destroyed fleets. Just peace. Meanwhile, the Galactic Assembly Chamber exploded with conversation. Representatives from hundreds of worlds argued, questioned, and analyzed what they had witnessed. Many couldn't believe it. A single human ship had stopped the most powerful military force in known space. Not through conquest. Not through destruction. But through restraint. The footage spread across every network in the galaxy. Historians immediately labeled it a turning point. Military academies rewrote entire strategic doctrines. Governments launched emergency reviews of their defense policies. And for the first time, the galaxy began asking a question it had never considered before. Who were humans, really? For decades, they had been viewed as a young species. A minor power. A civilization still finding its place among the stars. Now those assumptions were gone. Because hidden beneath humanity's peaceful image was a species that had survived its own darkest impulses. A species that had stared into the abyss and chosen a different path. Weeks later, a special summit was held on Earth. Delegations arrived from every major civilization. Even the Dominion attended. The atmosphere was tense. Nobody knew what humanity would demand. Many expected new alliances. Others expected territorial expansion. Some feared humanity would use its newfound reputation to dominate galactic politics. Instead, Admiral Mitchell stepped onto the stage and delivered a speech that would be remembered for centuries. The Titan will return to storage. The chamber became silent. Many delegates looked confused. Mitchell continued. Humanity did not save peace by building the Titan. Her voice echoed through the hall. We saved peace by refusing to use it until there was no other option. The audience listened carefully. The purpose of power is not conquest. It is responsibility. The words spread across the galaxy. News channels replayed them endlessly. Schools added them to history lessons. Political leaders quoted them during negotiations. And slowly, something remarkable happened. The balance of power began to change. Not because humanity forced it. Because other civilizations chose to follow the example. Treaties replaced threats. Military standoffs ended through diplomacy. Ancient rivalries softened. The memory of the Titan remained a powerful warning. A reminder of what unchecked ambition could create. Years later, historians would give that period a name. The Long Peace. Not because war disappeared completely, but because every civilization remembered what happened when the galaxy underestimated humanity. Deep beyond Pluto, the ancient shipyard closed once more. Massive blast doors sealed shut. The reactors powered down. Maintenance drones returned to dormancy. And the UES Titan rested in darkness. Waiting. Hopefully forever. Before leaving the ship, Captain Ward took one final look at the enormous vessel. He placed a hand against the cold metal hull. Then he smiled. Not because humanity had won, but because nobody had lost. The Titan had fulfilled its true purpose. Not as a weapon, not as a warship, but as a reminder. A reminder that the strongest civilization is not the one capable of destroying the galaxy. It is the one capable of doing so, and choosing peace instead. Far away, among the countless stars, new generations would grow up hearing the story. The day the galaxy demanded Earth's surrender. The day humans answered with a single ship. And the day the entire universe learned the most dangerous thing about humanity was never its weapons. It was its restraint.